How's it going there, guys? James here from Butler Farms. Finally found me a shady spot where I could talk to you. It's bright out here today. Not too bad hot though, to be honest with you. I mean, it is about 90 degrees, but here in the south, if that humidity is down a little bit, it feels okay. Got a nice breeze behind us. Gotten several things done today. I just wanted to come to you real quick and, in a former video, I did some talking about not having everything you need. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they start talking about self-sufficiency and being able to be self-sustaining and things like that, well, first of all, there are some things that you're never going to be able to provide for yourself. I mean, obviously, there's some things that we will always have to get from the store. Now, if worse comes to worse and obviously those things aren't available anymore, then we would have to do without, some to our detriment, I'll go ahead and admit. But being, even if I was already retired and could be here full time, there are just some things that I'm not going to be able to produce enough of. I'm not going to be able to produce enough of a variety. And so what we have to do in this space sometime is kind of depend on the kindness of others. Now, I told you when I did a garden tour not long ago about my beans didn't make this year. It's the first time ever that I've had a total failure of beans. It just kind of blows my mind. I really don't know what's going on with that. They came up pretty. They got about knee high. They bloomed like crazy. And then the only thing I can think of is with all this constant rain that we had for about a month there, where the ground just stayed saturated, it just killed them. That's the only thing I can think of. Had beans in that same spot before. They grew well. I don't know. But I told you in that video where I mentioned that, and I'll try to find that video. I don't really remember which one it was. But it's one of those kind of things where I have an abundance of some things. And because I have an abundance of some things, if somebody else comes to me that knows me and, that we both share kind of the same lifestyle, and say, hey, I've got more beans and I know what to do with, would you like some, or would you like to trade for some? Both of those are a yes. And because we need the beans here, that's part of our regular diet. Now, not as much as the purple hull peas that I've shown you many times. That's more of a staple, but fresh green beans are always welcome here. And I do have some things in abundance that I could trade for that or barter for that. And we do that. I do that on a regular basis. A lot of times it's just out of the goodness of people's hearts. They just say, hey, I've already picked these. I don't need any more. Come get them before they go bad, and snap them and put them up and those kind of things. Or they say, hey, we've got a bunch of stuff here at the house. We're tired of picking it. We're going out of town on vacation for a week, whatever the case may be, and so they're going to go bad if we just leave them down there in the garden. If you want them, come get them. Well, one of the things that you've seen me do many times here is blueberries. I mean, I hate to keep harping on that, but it is one thing that we have here, and it's that time of year, so obviously you're going to hear a lot about blueberries during this time of year. Now, my dad has established bushes that are still just pounding out blueberries after all these years, but his are done. He has picked for me several times, and they do keep some of them, but with he and Mama being the only ones there, they don't need a ton of them. My mother eats them pretty regularly, about every day if I'm not mistaken. But he knows that we use them. I've shown you the pies. We do a lot of different things with them. I eat them they're frozen, but I lay them out to thaw while I'm making breakfast, and I just like a bowl of them to start my day, even with nothing else with them or nothing else on them. I don't put sugar or anything else on them. So I get a lot from him. As you know, my blueberries are extremely young. And then I also told you in a former video about my neighbor across the street. She doesn't get out and pick them anymore. It's at the other end of her yard, so it's harder for her to get to, and it is hot. And so she just doesn't do it anymore. Well, she's got two humongous established blueberry bushes. They're not spaced out like mine are. These are just bushes that have come up, and they keep sending up shoots and new growth every year. These things are, I'm right at 6 feet tall, and so I would imagine these things are 10 or 12 feet tall. And the good thing about them is that the two blueberry bushes that are sitting side by side, one of them is early, kind of like what my dad and I have, where we've been picking, you know, through the first part of June, and as we got to the end of June, we're pretty much done. But she's got a humongous blueberry bush behind that one that is just now starting to go. So she called me the other day and she said, hey, you know, if you want to come over and pick those blueberries, I'm not going to use them, I'm not going to get to them, you know, if you want them, come get them. And my response was, yes ma'am, I will be over there tomorrow morning when it's cool. And got busy yesterday morning, didn't get to do it. And you know, so I went over there today, this morning, and this is just about 30 minutes worth of work. Now these buckets are pretty heavy. I would say that's probably about 5 or 6 pounds of blueberries right there. And there's 2 of them, and that's not even all. That's just that's the stuff that was easy to get to. And then I picked some more that were a little bit harder to get to, where I was having to pull down those top branches and things like that. And so, you know, there's all different kinds of ways to make this lifestyle work. This is really not a blueberry video. It's just one of those kind of things. You've got to make those connections with other people that are in the same space that do the same thing. And I'm not saying that you go to them and beg them for food. That's a big time turn off for people that do this in this space, because there's a lot of sweat and a lot of work and a lot of time invested in a lot of this. And you know, when you just go to somebody and say, hey, you know, hey, when you get through picking all those beans in the middle of the summer, if you don't want them, I would love to have them. There's other ways of doing that. A lot of times you're going to need to, you know, I've given stuff away with no expectation of return. I know a lot of people that do that. I give a lot of stuff away to family and friends, just boxes of tomatoes and all that kind of stuff, because I don't want to see it go bad. It's more than I can handle at the time, that kind of thing. But it's also good to have some people that you know, have some diversity also, and just form a relationship with them. You know, if we're going to try to get to a point where we are as sustainable as we can possibly be, again, I can't grow everything that I need. I can't grow the diversity that I need. You know, one of these days when I get retired and I'm here full time, all day, every day, yeah, I plan to branch out a little bit. I've told you that I'm going to expand my gardens and make them bigger, and I'll be able to put some different things in the ground. I've got the area that we had cleaned off after that storm and had it pushed up. I've kept it weed-eated best I could. I can't get a lawnmower in there with all the chunks of wood, but that's eventually going to rot down. And I'm making sure that the woods don't encroach back into that area, because I'm going to be putting raised beds there one day. I've got a perfect place to, you know, run a chicken tractor to raise broilers here. That's coming in the future. Y'all have seen the diversity of fruit trees that I have here, but even then, even when I'm producing a lot of my meat, I've diversified what I'm growing in the garden. I've got raised beds for quicker turnaround and for fresh eating kind of stuff. I've got all this fruit up here. I still have to have these relationships with other people. And sometimes in the past, like with the lady across the street, I have picked for her where, you know, it's basically a split. There are days that I've just gone over there because, you know, it was so hot and she can't really do it anymore. And I just went and picked her blueberries for her, because those blueberries just keep on coming. That big bush I was talking about, what I picked this morning is not even close to what's on there. And guys, I couldn't tell you how many thousands and thousands and thousands of green blueberries are on there that have yet to even start turning. So there's a lot more over there, probably more than I need. But at some point, I'm going to go over there and pick her a basket or two, and I'm going to hand it to her right in the door. Not because I have to. She's never asked me for that. She's never expected that from me. You know, when she was more physically able, she went out there and got her blueberries and those kind of things. Well, She's never asked me for payment. She's never asked me to pick her some blueberries, but she is thrilled to death when I knock on that door and hand her a basket from her own bushes. And that's just being neighborly. That's just the right thing to do. She's offered me a resource that she and her late husband have had on that place for decades, that nobody else is going to use. It's a resource for me and my family. It blesses us, and so the right thing to do is turn around and bless her in the same way. And she uses them. If I'll pick them for her, she will use them. So I just wanted to come to you real quick and just talk about that. You know, we're back in business again with blueberries because she's got some different rabbit eye variety that again, no possible way I can tell you what variety it is. She couldn't either. But it's obviously some different variety because they are just now starting to come in, whereas all of mine and my dad's are already done. There's no green ones or red ones on there at all on our bushes. They're done for the year. So they're early, hers are late. It's a wonderful resource. Make those connections with people. Find people in this space and form a relationship with them. And you know, if they have a lot of stuff that, you know, maybe one day you can trade for and stuff like that, you make the first move and take some of your excess to them, and just kind of as a good faith kind of thing, you know, that hey, I'm here to help you out just as much as you are hopefully going to help me out. So we all have to work together if we're going to grow, you know, as much of our food as we can, and that's what it's all about. And also helping out others, just being there for others that can't do it themselves anymore. And you know, just taking care of your friends, families, and neighbors. You know, I never got into this kind of lifestyle to be a hoarder. Now I'm gonna take care of me and mine first. There's no doubt about that. But I've always going to give the excess away. I'm never gonna let it sit down there in that garden and rot. You know, when I could go down there in 30 minutes and pick you know, boxes full of stuff and take it to people that don't have it, that would love it, or gotten to the age or the health where they can't do it anymore. So it all comes back around, guys. So you know, in this kind of lifestyle, whether it's blueberries, whether it's beans, you know, whatever the case may be, if you've got it, use what you can and give the rest away and form those relationships, and I promise you it'll come back you know, multiple times back to you. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna get off of this thing. I'm gonna get in here and start putting these blueberries up. They got to get frozen and put in the freezer. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Hit that thumbs up button when you get done. Tell friends about it. Let's keep this thing growing. Until next time, we love you. God bless you. This is James from Butler Farms, and we'll be seeing you.